Bernardo. For those of you that don't know, Frank Bernardo is our team leader here in Porter Ranch, serving the Los Angeles area, in the greater Los Angeles area. So once again, thank you so much, Frank, for agreeing to host this class for all 4 market centers. And so please take really detailed notes, and you're gonna have an amazing 1 hour. So here we go. Frank Bernardo, awesome.
How's it going, guys? So happy that we're up to 42 people in the class. I'm really excited about that. I really hope you guys get a lot of value out of this. I'm probably going to say some things you're not comfortable with. I'm going to challenge you on your comfort zones to get you to do things and tell you some things you probably are just not super excited to hear. But at the end of the day, what this is about is taking your business from where it's at and growing it. On the front here on the first slide, this is my Facebook page, my Instagram page, and my team Facebook page, and my personal cell phone number. So I want to connect with each and every one of you, especially if you're in other market centers. One of the reasons we do this is that I want to help everybody that has referrals for the Los Angeles area for my team as well. So if you guys have any questions or anything after this, because I'm going to throw a lot of information at you, I want you to feel free to reach out to me. I didn't put my email up there. My email is frank@frankbernardo.com. It's super easy. So as we get into this, I just want to make sure I connect with people, because at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do here is what I'm going to try to get each and every one of you guys to do, which is expand your database and expand your sphere and expand your world, because the world is becoming a much different place. And just to give you guys a frame of reference, last year was our last week before our lives changed. So next week, last year, is when everything went down with COVID. And it changed my business. Like my personal real estate business, it changed that, it changed the office, it changed your guys' business. And so now we're in a completely different place than we've ever been before. And I think that's why this conversation is way more relevant than it ever has been. So if you guys, since I have Greg here, I'm going to utilize him. So if you guys have questions, type the questions into the chat box, and he will help me answer those questions, because I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and I want to make sure everybody gets value out of this. So let's talk about how technology is changing the way we do business. Let's actually go back and talk about the travel industry. Now, I've spoken about this a little bit in each team meeting, but do you remember when airlines, now some of us are not old enough to remember this, but some of us are, maybe Sam would remember this, that there was a time when you wanted to travel somewhere, you actually went to delta.com and you went to their site and you actually filled out information. You had to call them. You couldn't do it online. You had to call them, tell them where you wanted to go, tell them how long you were going to be there, and then tell them your credit card number. And they would actually mail you a paper ticket in the mail. So, to me, even though I remember my mom doing that to me today, that sounds super, super bizarre. So if you look at where we're at today, I know people that live in Dallas, Texas, and work in Ventura, California. You are in such a different place. Within the last 12 months, people have shut down their offices and actually have made it to where you can work and live anywhere. Microsoft has said, listen, we're working from home from now on, and even if you want to live overseas, you can live overseas and still keep your job. I mean, I've never heard of that or even thought that was going to be possible at any point in time. If you look at home sites now, when you go to Expedia.com, when you go to Orbitz.com, when you go to anything online to book your travel, you don't go to Delta.com. You don't go to Southwest. You either go to Google or you go to Orbitz or Expedia or something like that. If you go to Expedia, what happens when you go to Expedia? You go to Expedia, you type in the dates that you want to go, and you look for the cheapest flight, and then you book your flight, and then they go, oh yeah, by the way, don't you need a rental car? Oh yeah, by the way, don't you need a hotel room? Oh yeah, by the way, wouldn't you like to go at this show? Wouldn't you like to go do this? And they start adding on things that they feel that you need. Doesn't that sound familiar? So if you go search for a house and you go buy a house, don't you need insurance for the house? Don't you need repair people for the house? Don't you need extra things for the house? So if you look at the people that went into the travel industry and disrupted the travel industry, who are those people? The CEO of Expedia, his name is Rich Barton. He just so happens to be the CEO of Zillow as well. So if you guys don't think that that is a relevant conversation, then you are behind in where technology is going. Rich Barton made the statement on how they got into the travel industry is that they said they were the elephant that got invited to dinner and started eating small amounts and ate so much that they were too big to leave the room. You cannot imagine the travel industry without Expedia, without Orbitz, without all of these extra sites that actually give you more value than Delta, Southwest, or so on and so forth. Well, that's what we're seeing with Zillow. When the shutdown happened back in March, the industry and search for Zillow jumped 400%. I would ask you, did you increase anything in your business when the shutdown happened back in March? Most people regressed. I know of very few people that actually embraced it, went forward, and started writing bigger checks. So it's very interesting to find out how Zillow does and what Zillow does. So what does Zillow do? When Zillow started out 15 years ago, I remember when Zillow was created, and they were the king of search and bad comps. And the biggest thing in the industry was like, you'd show up to a listing presentation and the Zestimate was like the biggest contention in the room, because people were like, well, Zillow says my house is worth $760,000 when it's really worth $650,000. But they're like, but Zillow, but Zillow, but Zillow. And then we get all up in arms and all frustrated and all upset because of what Zillow was saying. But at the end of the day, the only people that cared about how accurate the Zestimate was us. We were the only one frustrated by the Zestimate. We were so mad that Zillow was coming into our industry and doing these algorithms and creating these false pretenses of what a home value was when the consumer didn't care. You know, I'll give you the analogy of anybody own a Fitbit? Like if you have a Fitbit and the Fitbit tracks your steps, right? And you wear it so it tracks your step, and at the end of the day, you're like, oh my gosh, I took my 10,000 steps. But does it really track your steps? I mean, think about it. This is not your steps. But what it does is it creates a number that you can actually look at. And it's close enough to where it's accurate, where you can track it, to where you can say, okay, I didn't actually take 10,000 steps, but it's close. Doesn't that sound like the Zestimate to you? So you have to understand where people are versus where you are at as an industry. The biggest thing that I think that everybody should know about Zillow is that they sold 138 million leads to real estate agents in 2019. 138 million leads to you. But yet there were only just under 6 million houses sold. So what were they really doing? They were really selling Kim's leads to Alan, Alan's leads to Ashley, Ashley's leads to Hilda. They were actually taking the people that you already know and selling them to other people. And anywhere that I have ever been, I call that a scam. And you guys should really understand how Zillow is doing their business. The average lead for Zillow is $64. And I know most people that if it's over 50, they're not paying it. And another statistic is 41% of those $5.7 million homes that were sold, 5.7 million homes that were sold, 41% were by referral. So Zillow didn't even sell 41% of those. And an average cost of $64 per lead. I have tech people like Candace on here that can show you how to get leads right now for $3. But we don't know how things work. And we want to say, oh, I'm scared of technology. I don't want to do videos. I don't want to be on social media. I don't want. That's what we want. We want to create these excuses for technology. And I will tell you, you can either Try to adapt and move forward with technology, or it's going to drag you. And Zillow knows that as realtors, that we are always behind the time. So it's willing to drag us, and it's trying to be that elephant in the room with us, eating just a little bit. If you go to Zillow, they have a timeline of exactly when they did and how they did everything that they did. And they are the elephant at our dinner table right now, eating as much as they possibly can, and they're going to get big enough to where they will not be able to leave the room. And they are really close, people. They're really, really close. And if you don't believe it, then you really need to pay attention. 26% of all the wealth in the United States is tied up in the equity of homes right now. And we as real estate agents are the protector of that equity. When you go buy and sell a house, when you list a house for sale, what happens? Let's go through the process. You list the house for sale, you run comps, you sit down, you get paperwork done, you hire an inspector, you hire a loan officer, you hire repair people to fix the house, you get a local lender, all this local stuff that happens, right? All that money actually goes from that house, it goes to the mortgage companies, it goes to escrow companies, it stays within your community. Keep this in mind, it stays within your community. When Zillow comes in with a Zillow offer and says, I'm gonna pay you $730,000 for your house and all you have to do is hand me your keys and walk away, all that money goes to Zillow, which does not stay in your local community. That is something that I think everybody needs to pay attention to. It goes to corporate America. It goes from Main Street to Wall Street and cuts out all the agents in between, period. I had to sit in front of a seller that pushed forward a Redfin offer and a Zillow offer and said, why should we go with you instead of these two offers right here? And let me tell you, the thing that scared me the most is the number that they put on their contract to buy the house for was really close. It was really close. It was $730,000. And I had to justify how I could get them $740,000 plus a little bit more, because we all know that if we overprice the house, it doesn't sell, but if we price it right, we'll get multiple offers, right? So we told them, we went through the numbers on Zillow because they disclose what their offer is, but they always say they have additional fees that are between this and this and this and this. And then if you take out all those fees, it's actually between $60,000 and $100,000 less than what the seller would walk away with. But they try to sell us as the agent as the inconvenience that they don't have to deal with anymore if they go with Zillow. That's really, really important to pay attention to, because you are not the inconvenience. You are supposed to be the fiduciary that actually helps them close the deal and works and fights for them on their side. So how does Zillow find their leads? I mean, we hire Zillow because we want leads, right? People hire companies like Redfin and pay money to people because they want leads. Well, they actually started out their business doing exactly what you guys could do. They created a search site, right? They paid MLSs to get the aggregate, so when you typed in a search, your listings came up so they could buy the lead and then sell it back to you. That's what they actually did. And then all they did was go to Google and pay Google for Google pay-per-click. You could do that. We don't do that because we're like, we don't know how to do that. If you just go to Google and say online real estate leads, there are going to be a number of companies that come up that will help sell you leads at a much cheaper rate than what Zillow will pay. But Zillow wants you to pay them so they get your information, and then they get their clients' information, your clients' information, and they put all these people in a database. And then the one thing that they do better than what you guys do is they actually communicate with those people better. If you don't believe me, sign up as a client and see how many times they email you, and then see how many times you email your clients. I mean, it's that simple. I stayed at a Marriott in a city one time, and I swear to God, they emailed me like I was their long lost cousin that just hit the lottery. Like I paid them like $400 to stay for a couple of days, and then they just won't stop emailing me. If we treated our clients like that, we'd have a much better relationship. We have allowed Zillow to get where they are today, and we have funded it, and we have stood by while they have made their moves, and everyone is surprised and horrified when they start buying companies that are going to actually disenfranchise us from our own business. When they bought Dotloop, that's what freaked me out, because now they have access to my client's name, my transaction's name, they have access to the home warranty, they have access to the home inspection, they have access to all the information through Dotloop. So the thing about Zillow now is that they're actually a brokerage. And the reason I know there's a bunch of people on here that are like, well, I don't buy Zillow leads. I don't buy Zillow leads. And I get that. But what's that thing about drunk drivers? Don't let your friends drive drunk, right? Friends don't let friends drive drunk, right? We've all heard that, right? Well, friends don't let their friends buy Zillow leads. Like, that's where we need to go with this. Because I'll tell you right now, you could actually go to Zillow and try to find out what areas have what. If you go to most areas in Zillow, it's sold out. Like, if I wanted to buy a Zillow leads in Santa Clarita, I can't. The entire city of Santa Clarita is packed because agents are literally throwing money at Zillow because they don't have the wherewithal or the knowledge or the motivation to actually go figure out an online lead for their own. They are now a brokerage. So it's literally the equivalent of me giving RE/MAX money so RE/MAX can give me shitty leads. Like, here's $1,000. Give me a lead that's worth $64 that's kind of meh. That's what we're doing. But why do people go to Zillow anyways? Like that, I think that's a really, really good question. Why do people go to Zillow? Well, they go for search, and Zillow helps them feel smarter about real estate. That's really the bottom line, is that the average person actually goes to Zillow 3 times a year to check their Zestimate, when they should actually be going to you as a real estate professional. But why don't they go to you? So 74% of all people say they would actually use the same agent again. So once you list a house, you sell a house, and you help that person out, they go and do a survey and say, would you use Greg again? Like, oh yeah, we used Greg again. Greg was awesome. But then they don't. Why don't they? Because we suck at follow-up. Like, let's call it what it is. And I'm really sorry, because I know there's somebody here like, no, Frank, I follow up. I don't know. Because only 26% of you actually use the same real estate agent again. Somebody gets disenfranchised and put in somebody's farm. Anybody that has farms or has a database or has worked with somebody that's worked with another real estate agent, once that transaction is over, that person is considered an orphan. 75% of the time, that's an orphan. You can go adopt them. So like Tracy, my partner, when somebody moves into her farm, I don't care who uses that person. I'm like, go by with a housewarming gift, put them on an extemporaneous mailer thing to where they just get blasted for the first few months, because now you're in the adoption process. Anybody ever adopt a child? Like, the process is ridiculous, right? So that when somebody comes into your farm or into your ecosystem, you need to put them into the adoption process, which is like bam, 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 bam. So where they see you so much, they actually forget about the other agent, because guess what? 75% of the time, that agent is not going to follow up with that person. And it's really easy for you to take that person. And it should be your job, because the agent that does not follow up with their people is actually doing their people a disservice. Because 75% of the time, they're happy with that person, but then it's such a transactional business, a transient business. We use somebody, we forget them. We use somebody, we forget them. I feel like I'm dating in high school. It's kind of crazy, right? So, but at the end of the day, we have to take responsibility. This is our fault. So now I would like to welcome everybody to the intervention that I've scheduled for each and every one of you today, that we're now doing an intervention on your database and on your real estate life. So I'm going to tell you the things that you need to know that you may not really want to hear. And I'm going to give you some really hard things to do that in reality, it's really not hard, But each and every one of us, if we are not where we want financially, it's because of our own fear that we've let kind of take control and we've rationalized it. Oh, I don't want to go door knocking at 6 o'clock because they're probably eating dinner. I'm sorry, I eat dinner like 8 or 9, so please knock on my door. Like, oh, I don't want to call them. They live in New York. I can't help them anyway. That's wrong. We are in a relationship business. We literally control our own destinies when it comes to our income. When we get out of our own head and we get out of our own way, there is nobody on the planet that can literally make more money than us. Nobody. And I'm saying that in the face of Elon Musk, who is like one of the richest people, depending on what he says on Twitter during the day. You know, depending on his comments on Twitter, he's the richest person in the world. You have that ability. Your income is limitless. So this is Zillow. So in the beginning, they had nothing. They had search, they had bad comps. Today, they have Premier Agent. Their Premier Agent drives their business. They're a billion-dollar company. And if you think that they are somebody to not be afraid of, then you are naive. Zillow offers. 2 weeks, not even a month ago, I had a Zillow offer in my face, and I had to defend against it. Now, keep in mind, it was easy because I know what I'm talking about. But if someone did that to you, blindly shot a Zillow offer in front of you and said, why would I use you rather than take this offer? Would you know what to say? Zillow rentals. That's super smart. How many of us just blow by rental? Oh, it's a rental. It's a $1,500. It's an $800. It's no money. It's no money. Everybody on the planet is going to buy, sell, or rent something. The people that are renters only rent because they either don't understand or know how to get into a house. That's your job, to help them. And if they have to rent for 6 months while you help them, why not do that? Because it's a waste of your time right now? I would disagree. Zillow home loans. Does that not frighten you? We're literally talking about the travel industry that has been disrupted and changed right here in front of you. Zillow closing services, Dot Loop, Bridge Interactive, Trulia, Street Easy, Hot Pads. When I say 10 years ago, I was like, Zillow is coming. Zillow is coming. They're here. And there is only one way to beat them. That way is you have to ignore them. You have to forget they exist, and you have to stop paying them. You have to stop paying them. If you know somebody else that's paying them, go to that person and say, stop paying them. Frank did this class. Call Frank. Like, seriously, call me. I will preach to you on the phone one-on-one. Just, I like to hear myself talk. So like, that's part of it. But, you know, anything that makes me sound more like important or valuable, I like to do that. So let's do this. So we're going to talk about, you don't need Zillow, and you actually do have enough leads. And we're going to talk about online leads. But let's talk about how you really don't need more leads. So I want everybody to do this. Take your phone out to your contacts and scroll to the bottom. Just take your phone out, scroll to the bottom, and tell me how many people are in your contact list. How many people do you know? Type it in the chat box how many contacts you have. And I'm going to let Greg read them to me. Now, if you have like, I have 5,000 contacts, well, do you really know all 5,000 of those people? Like, let's be honest. So,
see, we have 2,470, 900, 727.
All right, so let's go with 727.
Awesome.
727. So statistically, everything in real estate is a statistic, right? We can extrapolate numbers from all the real estate numbers and give you average market sale, this, that, or whatever. So the statistic is 6% of everyone you know is going to have a commission experience in the next 12 months. Everybody, it's a statistic. So 727 people. I don't know who put that number up there. I'm not going to call anybody. I'm not putting anybody on blast because I want you guys to like me. So 727. So let's do some quick math. This is how easy this is. We're going to do 727. So 727 times 0.06. That's 43. 6% of 727 is 43. So I don't know. So whoever wrote 727, what's the average sale price in your area? Can you type that in there for me? Most of yours are other agents. Okay, so you just have to dial that back. So I said, Ashley said, most of mine are other agents. That's fine. But let me tell you this, I have listed other agents' houses.
Let's go with 750.
750? Okay, so $750,000. So $750,000 times 0.025, that's $18,750 if you're capped. We're just gonna assume you're capped. So, but you know what? Let's be a little bit more realistic, shall we? So not everybody has a $750,000 average market price. I know ours out here is 835, and I knew Tulare is like, I don't know, like 75,000. I don't know. Was it in Tulare? I'm just kidding, Tulare. I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
About 320 now.
What was that?
About 320 now.
320 now. You know what? Let's go with 320. With 320 super low. Like let's say that person that has 727, somebody wants to buy a 1-bedroom, like in that area. So let's do 320. So 320 times 0.025 is $8,000. So 8,000 times 43 is $344,000. To where if whoever wrote in, they had 727 contacts, 6% of those people are going to have a commission experience. And if they bought literally in another area and they got an $8,000 commission check for every one of those people, they were going to make over $300,000. I mean, how many of us would just be okay with that? I'd be okay with that. Like I'm not mad at that number at all. So, but now this isn't the first time I had this conversation. I've had people come to me and say, well, Frank, you know, I know people that like live in New York and live in Florida, and they're not going to use me as an agent. No, you're right. 100% right. But they call that an incoming referral, because just because your person that you sold their house here moved away, because guess what? That's happening a lot right now, right? I think I have 4 transactions right now where people are literally moving out of state. And then what you do is you abandon those people when they leave, and they become orphans in Florida, and they have to go find another real estate agent. Why would you do that? Why would you abandon your children? You don't abandon your children. You keep in contact with them. The one thing about Keller Williams that's amazing is that, first of all, Gary Keller told you that Zillow was coming a long time ago too. I don't know if it was the same time I did. Maybe I was a little bit sooner. I don't know.
I'll say it.
I get Greg laughing. But at the end of the day, that person still needs your help. Because guess what? You probably know more people in that city than they do. And you definitely know more real estate agents. I've had somebody call me, say, hey, I need somebody in Florida. I literally, within 30 minutes, I had somebody in Florida. They were hooked up. And then I actually had somebody in another part of the state. They're like, I need somebody up here. It was the wrong person. They're like, I don't like that person. I found somebody within 10 minutes. Now, guess what? I have an incoming referral check. So that's why I dropped that number. Like we dropped it to 320, because guess what? It's not always going to be a full commission. I didn't say you were going to get a full commission from your database. I said they were going to have a commission experience. So the people that live out of state, those are relationships you need to cultivate as well. So when somebody thinks of real estate, they think of you, because they go, I don't know anybody here, but I bet you Cherie will know somebody. I bet you Claudia would know somebody. And when you talk to them and you call them, you say, hey, I know somebody in your neighborhood. If you ever think about buying or selling, let me know. I have somebody that I love to work with in that area. You're like, well, I don't, Frank. Well, then go find somebody. I talked to somebody in Nashville, Tennessee. They said 80 people a day were moving from California. Like, I think Gavin Newsom is going to be like the man of the year for U-Haul. U-Haul is going to be like, and the man of the year is Gavin Newsom. I mean, people are leaving California at an alarming rate right now, but guess what? Those are people that need your help. And the people that are leaving and going to Arizona, going to Texas, going to Nashville, unless you just don't like them anymore, those are still your people. I hope that makes sense. So if you're in my area and you have a minimum of about 300 people that you actually know, you're making a minimum of $244,000 a year on the low end. And we're going to talk about how that works, and we're going to talk about how those relationships work and how that can help you. Did my thing die here? I want you to simplify things in your business. This is really, really important because I've started out as a single agent. A lot of you don't know, I was the first agent ever recruited in the San Fernando Valley by Keller Williams back in 2004, and I was Rookie of the Year. And I started out, and I got shot out of a cannon, and I built my team up really fast. And what happens when you build your business really fast and you become really busy is things get very complicated, confusing, and convoluted. And I want to tell anybody that feels overwhelmed in this market right now, you have to pull it back because your business is about three things and three things only. Only. Leads, listings, and leverage. When you have too many leads, you use leverage to cultivate those leads. When you have too many listings, you use leverage to cultivate those listings and the leads, and you use that to grow even more, and you build your team around that. There's an amazing book. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. It's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and it literally gives you a blueprint on how to build your real estate team. My only critique and problem I have with The Millionaire Real Estate Agent is that if you read the book, it seems overwhelming and it seems really big because it talks about 7 figures, and most of us can't imagine making 7 figures in real estate. That's why I'm telling you, you have to dial it back to the 3 things: leads, listings, and leverage, period. Focus on your leads. That's what we're talking about here. There's people right now that are not even making $100,000 a year that have 500 to 600 people in their contact list that are trying to pay Zillow to get more leads because they don't want to talk to the people they already have. It's like, I'd rather talk to somebody I don't know rather than the people I already do know. I have people coming to me going, I want to do expired listings. Listen, I don't want to toot my own horn. I'm really good at expired listings. I'm really good at talking to people that want to cuss me out, right? I was married for like 12 years. So like I came home every day and I got cussed out. But at the end of the day, like expired leads are really hard, but I have people that don't want to talk to their own people that they know, and they'd rather talk to that person who's really pissed off because some agent that didn't know what they were doing screwed up their plans, because that's what an expired listing is. So you just have to talk to your own people, but you have to go down to leads, listings, and leverage and just understand that it's not more complicated than that. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. If you have a database of people or a contact list of people, unless you've literally disenfranchised someone to the point to where that person's homeless, you can still call and talk to your database. The basics of what maps, because when I was a maps coach, I would teach agents, you need to talk to your database once a quarter. That was like it. That was solid gold. Once a quarter, you have to talk to everybody in your database. If you have too many people in your database to talk to them, that's where leverage comes into play. Leads, listings, and leverage. You can have someone else talk to your database on your behalf. I recruited an agent, and I gave him this concept. And I took his phone and I said, I'm going to grow your business, and I'm going to help you become a bigger agent than you've ever become before in your entire life. And he was like, oh yeah, ha, ha, ha. And so I said, give me your phone. He handed me his phone. I took his contact list and I went, bam. I go, who's Tom? Oh, Tom is blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Tom sounds like a really cool guy. When's the last time you talked to Tom? Oh, it's been like 4 years. Okay, call him. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, call him. If he's a friend and he's this cool guy that you just told me he is, why have you not talked to him? And I get it. Life happens. But guess what? He gets it too. Life happens to him. He ain't called your ass either. But guess what? You're the professional. This is your business. He is in your database. He is a lead. Call him. And he literally looked at me like he was a deer about to get hit by a truck. And I said, give me your phone. He's like, what? I said, I'm going to call him for you. He was like, you're going to do what? I said, just give me your phone. I took his phone and I called Tom and I said, hey, Tom, my name is Frank Bernardo. I work with Joe over at Keller Williams, and we were going through his database, and I realized that Joe hasn't spoken to you in 4 years. And then I stopped and I let Tom respond. Tom's like, wow, yeah. What's Joe up to? I said, well, interestingly enough, Joe is actually one of my top agents in the office, and I work with him, and we're growing his database. And I wanted to connect with you to see how you're doing. How are you doing, Tom? He goes, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. We talk. I go, okay, great. Well, you know what? Do you currently rent or do you own? He's like, I own. Okay. Do you have any plans to move in the future? No, I'm pretty happy where I'm at, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Well, if you ever have a plan to move, or you know somebody that's thinking about making a move, I would love it if you gave Joe a call, because he's a really awesome agent and he plans on following up with you and calling you later this afternoon if you're okay with it. He'd be great. I would love to talk to Joe. Awesome. You have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Click, and I handed the phone back to him, and he looked at me like I was from Mars. Like, I cannot believe you just did that. And I said, the only thing stopping you from doing what I just did is the fear and the dumbass story that you're telling yourself in your own head. That's it. We talk ourselves out of things and rationalize things in our head all the time to talk us out of our own business. The key to success is human interaction, period. The only goal in real estate should be that you grow your database as big. This is the key part. I need everybody to pay attention to this part. This is really important. As big and as fast as you possibly can, and then talk to all of them all the time. So I tell everybody, you have to talk to your people once a quarter, consistently, religiously. And then guess what? A year ago, excuse my language, a year ago, the fucking pandemic hit. And like, seriously, it turned my office on its side. It turned my life on its side. It turned my business on its side. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I reworked everything. Guess what? You don't talk to your people once a quarter anymore. It's not enough. It's not enough. You have to talk to them once a month. You have to talk to them once a month, because things are changing like this, like that. And Zillow's moving faster than you guys are. That's why this is about Zillow, because Zillow wants to take you out of the transaction and take you out of the interaction with people. They want to say, hey, you know what? You know what you're good for? Zillow's going to be like, can you drop off the lockbox for me? Can you pick up the paperwork for me? Can you do all the little incidental things that are not important that an assistant would do, that you would do if you would leverage yourself? So you have to talk to them once a month, consistently. And guess what? I know that's going to be uncomfortable. I know you're going to be like, well, I don't know what to talk to them about. Well, when you talk to them, you write down notes. And you write down what you talked about. You find out, you know what? I know Hilda is involved in a ridiculous amount of charity organizations and all this, and she has this amazing story. The only reason I know that is because I Googled her and I sat down and I had a conversation with her and I took notes. Do you know when you sit down and talk to somebody and you take notes and you listen to them, do you know what that's called? It's called caring. You talk to your people and you care about them. And then when you call them back, like my number one thing, when I write down somebody's notes, I go through a specific script, and we're going to talk about this script because it's going to be really important in a second. When I talk to a person, no matter who they are, I go through the Ford script. I wish I could have said I came up with the Ford script. It's been around for years. Other offices use it. Other companies use it. Maps uses it. But I sit down and I have a real conversation with people. And I ask them, and I had somebody in a team meeting that said, well, I haven't spoken to somebody. I have a friend from college that I haven't spoken to in 2 years. How do I do the Ford script? You call them up. Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. You don't have to do it in that order. We just put it in that order because it sounds cool and we can remember it. Ford. So you call somebody and you go, hey, Greg, how are you doing? I just wanted to give you a call. How's the family?
Doing awesome. Awesome.
Awesome. So now this is the thing. Stalk your people. Go on Facebook, go on Twitter, go on LinkedIn, find out what's important to them. Social media is huge. Oh, Frank, I don't like social media. Stop that. Stop that. I don't care if you don't like social media. I don't care. Get on social media. Figure it out. I don't like video. I don't care. I don't. Get on video. This is the problem. All those people that you're worried about on social media and on video, they don't care either. You're so worried about what they think, it doesn't matter what they think. You get on there. So like I was stalking Greg. So like I was stalking Greg, I was looking at Greg's stuff. I look at all my people's stuff. I look at all of your stuff too. Like, I don't know, is Gurmeet on here?
Yes.
Like Gurmeet went to Seattle. She was at the Space Needle. She doesn't even know I knew that, but I stalked her, right? Like Sam had like a pink wig with like a unicorn horn on. He was dancing on stage to like, you know, Wham or something. Like I stalked him. Go to his Facebook, it's amazing. But so like I stalked Greg. So I'm gonna call Greg and say, hey Greg, it's Frank Bernardo with Keller Williams. How are you doing? How's the family doing?
Oh, we're doing great, as best as we can. Can't complain right now.
That's awesome. I saw your daughter was in town. It was her birthday or something, you know?
Actually, that was a year ago. But
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it was her birthday recently.
Well, you're not on social media a lot.
Right, yeah.
That's
No,
awesome.
I posted a picture from a year ago, but.
Okay. That's what it is. How's the job going? You know, I mean, are you still a licensed real estate agent?
Yes, I am, and it's still selling real estate, yeah.
That's very cool. You know, things are so crazy in the world right now. Like, what are you doing for fun? Like, how are you figuring out a way to get out? And like, are you traveling? Like, what are you doing right now?
I'm hiking and, just walking outside whenever I can, walking the dog, just trying to keep it together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, are you staying in Los Angeles? I know a lot of people that are actually moving. I know somebody that lives in Dallas and works in Ventura. You know, are you going to plan on staying in LA? So many people are leaving. You know, what's your plan for like the future as far as where you live?
No, I'm staying here for now and not thinking of moving anytime soon, but you never know. Might move back to Texas. I thought about it, but not sure.
Texas.
Thanks for asking.
Texas is awesome. I love Texas. What's your favorite city in Texas?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. They have those canals and stuff. I've only been there one time, but it looks like it's a really amazing place.
The rivers?
The rivers, right? Right? Are they awesome, or is that just like what I saw? Like
No, the rivers are nice. The
Okay.
canals are not nice.
I don't know, but you know the thing about Texas that I love so much is the food. The food is amazing.
It is, and that's one thing I miss is the food.
Do you guys see what I'm doing here? At any time, did I say, do you want to buy or sell? Because it's not about that. Stop making it about that. Stop making it about buying or selling. It's not about buying or selling. It's about the freaking relationship, people. That's what it's about. Zillow is creating relationships with your people online faster than you are. You have to do it faster than them. It's really, really important. Online leads. So this is one of the things. So there's Google pay-per-click and there's Facebook ads. There's other ways to get leads or whatever, but let's just talk about those. Google pay-per-click has the best value and an immediate and long-term play. Facebook ads are cheaper than Zillow, but it's also a long-term play. I am not a fan of Facebook ads at all, but that doesn't mean they're bad. Google pay-per-click is my #1 choice when it comes to online lead generation. So I need everybody to hear this. There are no bad leads. There are no bad leads. There's only bad agents. I cannot tell you how many times I generated a lead for an agent and the agent calls the lead and goes, that's a bad lead. That's a bad lead. Those leads are no good. Zillow leads are no good. Facebook leads are no good. I didn't say Facebook leads were no good. I said I didn't like Facebook leads. There's a difference. Yes, sir.
Question, is a Google click the same as a Google AdWords?
No. AdWords and pay-per-click are two totally different things. And that is a different class unless Candace wants to try to explain it really quick. No? Candace is like, I don't know. Who are you talking about?
Dogs are going, sorry.
Oh, no. No problem, no problem. So AdWords are changing. Google's going to change that. So, but pay-per-click is what you need to do. Do not get sold on AdWords. It's pay-per-click.
No, okay.
So let's talk about this. The problem with us as a real estate industry is that we value a lead based on when they are ready to buy. This is a huge mistake. Let me see if I can stop this screen share and do a whiteboard with you really quick. So let's see here. All right, so let me explain this to you. If this is the life of the lead, right? Everybody can see this?
Yes.
If this is the life of the lead, and this is where they buy, this is where they close escrow right here, okay? And this is the height of your business. This would be the next day. This would be the lowest part because I don't know anybody that's going to close escrow and then try to open escrow the next day, right? So this is when they close escrow, when they get a listing, when they close escrow. The problem is that we value the lead on how close they are to that point. So if you talk to somebody the next day or the next day down here, and you got an online lead and they're like, yeah, I was just looking online. I just bought a house and I was just curious about this estimate. I know we probably all heard that one. That's a bad lead, right? Because they just bought. That's a bad lead?
No.
So it's not a bad lead just because they're right here in the process. What you do is you take that person, you put them in your database, and then you start communicating with them here. And here, and here, and here. And you keep communicating with them because guess what? They're either going to buy or sell again or they're going to pass away. And you want to be in the will. Just saying. That harsh?
Or divorce.
Or divorce. Or divorce. That's a good one. Divorce is super high right now. My divorce attorney was like, she's so busy. She's so... That's a different class too. But I'm good. No, Tracy and I are good. Don't take that wrong. Okay, so... and then you keep communicating with them because guess what? Bam, they're going to be up there again. But the problem is that somebody goes, nah, I'm just looking. Nah, I already bought. I already did this. I'm not ready. Then we value them and we forget about them and we don't talk to them during this whole entire period of time. And then when it gets closer to right here, they goes through this again and it gets closer to right here. Like within this period of time, you're like, oh, that's a good lead. No. They're all good leads. Every one of them are a good lead. The problem is that our expectations on what people think. This is why we have drive-thrus in America. This is why drive-thrus are so popular because we order a cheeseburger, we get a cheeseburger. We order pizza, we get a pizza. It's like, I'm going to get your pizza to you in 30 minutes or less, right? That's our mentality. So we want it instant. No. This is about relationships. Build your database as big as you possibly can, and then communicate with it as much as you possibly can. Because the people that use you are going to be the people that know you, like you, and trust you. Period. Everybody in your database, everybody is going to buy, sell, or rent at some point. Your challenge is to have the conversation to find out when that's going to be. And somebody's going to be like, hey, I might retire, I might do this, and especially right now, so many people are leaving the state, so many people are out of work, so many people are just doing all these different things that over communication. So I would take anybody on this call, and I bet you I could go into your database and find out how much you're not communicating with your people. And you have to communicate with them to the point to where it's uncomfortable for you. Because what you're doing is not enough right now. The only time it's going to be enough is if your income in your bank account is like, no, we're good. Like I got my Ferrari, I got my beach house. I'm completely financially happy. Well, if you're completely financially happy, wouldn't you want to make more money to help the people that don't have the money? Like, wouldn't that be like the next step to like be that person to be like, hey, here's 100 grand. Let me help you. Like that's where I think you should be. And you only do that by finding out each and every person in your database, where they're at with their family, with their job, with their lives, and where they're going. And somebody says, I'm thinking about moving in 6 months. Guess what? You start talking to them 2 to 3 months in and getting them information 2 to 3 months in, because things happen all the time and it's fast. The world is speeding up. Speed of business, speed of technology is happening like that. 25 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to get on a video call with somebody in New York City. That just wasn't a thing. Like I remember when I started in real estate, man, I'm aging myself. Text messaging wasn't a thing. Over 90% of people enjoy text messaging now. And emojis is a thing. Like communicating with emojis, like sending a poop with eyes is like a thing to, connect with people, right? Never thought that would be a thing. But do I have any questions? I would love to have some questions. Any questions, Greg?
No questions yet.
Let me see here. So I hope that makes sense to everybody.
Frank,
Why
also
do people move?
thanks for your candor. Thanks for your candor and the intentionality in the presentation that you put on there. I think it's really, really important to have everybody know that how direct. I appreciate your direct approach. You certainly aren't sugarcoating things for us, and it's super important to know what our database means to us and what it means if we don't do anything with it.
I mean, the reason that I'm like this is because that, and Jay, you know this very well, and you and Sam, and you guys do the same thing that I do. That we sit in front of people all the time, and we get excuses on why their business isn't where they're at, and why people don't want to move to Keller Williams. They'd rather stay loyal to a company that's absolutely doing absolutely nothing for them, but they want to be loyal instead of being in front of like a JP or a Sam Benner that can actually have the business acumen to help them get to the level that they want to get to. So I get frustrated because, I coach agents in my office, but I'm going to be 100% honest with you. My coaching with agents in the office doesn't last long because this is the way I am with you. Like I told somebody what to do, and it was very similar to what I'm telling you guys now. And he said to me, Frank, do I get a day off? And I was like, does your bank account say you can have a day off? Are you good to where you can like go party and go do stuff on the weekends and you got that money and you're good? And he was just like, yeah, you got a point. He didn't come back for the next coaching session. So it's just like, I feel like I got to tell you the things you need to hear and not what you want to hear. So I want to go over with you, when you have conversations with people, you have to understand that there are no bad leads. That people make moves dependent on what's happening in their life. Mostly life events happen. You get a job, you lose a job, you get married, you get divorced, you have a baby, kids go to college. Different things happen, and having the Ford conversation creates that environment to where you're going to find out where they're at in their life. Oh, when you're talking to Greg, and his daughter lives with him, and like, oh yeah, we just got great news. My daughter's pregnant, and she's getting married. Oh, I'm gonna make a note of that, because guess what? Greg doesn't know it, but he ain't got enough bedrooms in that house. But I'm looking at his title report, and I see exactly how many bedrooms he has. He does not have a room for a baby, right? So those are the things that you have to understand, is that life events happen with people, and that's why they move. You don't know what life events are going to happen. How many people in your database have either changed jobs or lost their job? But do you know which ones? That's the conversation. How are things going? How's work? Because guess what? If he doesn't have a job and the wife's not working and all these things, guess what? Mortgages still have to be paid. And I know there's a moratorium in a lot of areas for like, you don't have to worry about that stuff, but guess what? Their equity is going to get eaten up. And 26% of all the wealth in the United States is tied up in home equity right now. 1891. Does anybody know what number that is? The year 1891? That is the day, that is the year the first board of realtors came into existence. And marketing hasn't changed much since then. Really, it hasn't. You can add social, you can add video, you know, you can add all those different things. But back when 1891 came around, all business was referral business, that you bought business with people that knew you, liked you, and trust you. Only about 40% of that is the case now. Zillow's trying to make it less. I hope that you guys understand that's a big deal. That is a big deal. So the one thing that I want to impress upon you guys is that the best way to do, because so many people are so scared and worried about Zillow and worried about their business, and we tend to make things way more complicated than they need to be. And at the end of the day, it's sitting down and talking to your database and having conversations more than what you're having now. The best way to defeat Zillow is to talk to your people more and stop paying them. I would love to make it more complicated than that, but it's not. At the end of the day, the statistics and the numbers speak for themselves. You are not talking to your people enough. If you're not making $244,000 a year and you don't have 300 people in your contact list, then you have to do something. So if you were today to meet one person and make that person your person, because that's the thing, those 300 people, that 6% is predicated on the fact that those 300 people are your people, that you know that they know you, they like you, and they trust you. You've gone through the Ford conversation with them, and they will call you if they have a question. That is what that number is. But let's say you get dropped into a city and you don't have anybody, you have amnesia, you have to start from the beginning. Well, you start one a day. One person a day, that person is your person. Tomorrow, that person is your person. Well, in 365 days, you now have 365 people, which equals $244,000 a year. So it's a numbers game. And again, I'd like to make it more complicated. But the best script to use when you talk to somebody that you don't know is hi. That's how you start it. My name is Frank. I'm a real estate agent. Now, when you say, hi, my name is Frank, I'm a real estate agent, it's really easy to have a conversation after that because they expect you to be a certain type of way. And the way you do that is, and they will never give you another answer besides what you're asking when you ask this question. Hey, Greg, my name is Frank. I'm a real estate agent. Do you rent or do you own?
I rent.
Okay. I've never met a person, hundreds of times I've done this, has never said, why are you asking me that? They're like, oh, I own. Oh, I rent. Oh, I own. Oh, I rent. So somebody goes, hey, I rent. Oh, that's awesome. Let me ask you a question. If I could show you how to actually own a home and it's cheaper than what you're actually doing now, would you be interested in getting more information? Yes. Let me help you with that. That's it. I'm not saying, do you want to buy or do you want to sell? I'm trying to give them more information. I'm trying to be the go-to person. I want to be the go-to person. I want them to like me. What are you doing with your database to make yourself more likable? Everybody in your database, what are you doing to get them to like you more? During the holidays, I know agents that hand out pies. I cannot tell you how much business I've seen agents get from handing out pies. You know why? Everybody loves pie. Everybody. I know Sam loves pie. He's not on anymore. But that's the thing, is that what are you doing to get your database to like you more? And what are you doing to make your database feel smarter about real estate? The only way you can do those two things is by having more conversations, getting uncomfortable in having more conversation. I challenged an agent that started with, I said, listen, he was totally in his own way. and I was trying to be like Dr. Phil and like have an intervention with him. And I said, listen, I need you to go back to the beginning of your real estate career and have a conversation with the first person you ever did a transaction with. And he goes, oh, Frank, I don't know. I don't want to do that. I go, I know you don't want to do it. He goes, no, because it ended badly. It was bad. Like he was mad at me. Like he'll probably never use me again. I said, well, guess what? You need to call him. And he fought me. And I didn't think he was going to call him. He showed up a couple of days later. He said, hey, I made that phone call. I'm like, you did? I was shocked. And he said, yeah. And I said, hey, this is so-and-so. And I was just calling. I just want to follow up. I saw you in my database. And I realized we hadn't talked in a number of years. And I wanted to apologize for not keeping in communication with you. And he goes, oh yeah, that's really great. He goes, but you know what? When we parted and when we closed that last transaction, he goes, I wasn't happy with the way you handled that. And I wasn't happy. And he went through his list of things. He was like right in his face. And I told my guy what to say. And I said, there's only one thing you can say. You tell him the freaking truth. You apologize. And he told him, he said, listen, you were my first transaction. And I really wasn't sure what I was with an office that didn't really help me very much. And, I'm really sorry about that. But that's why I'm calling you, is because I wanted to make sure that you understood, that I'm taking responsibility for that. And he said, you know what? I really appreciate the phone call. I'm looking for some commercial land and some commercial buildings, and maybe you can help me with that. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I said, you're messing with me. He did not say that. He goes, he absolutely said that. And I go, I love it when I'm right. Like, I love it when I'm right. And so that's what you have to do. You have to put yourself in the situations that's uncomfortable, because I can go through 10 different things to tell you how uncomfortable I've been, but how it's actually changed my life in the end. And that's what you guys have to do too. So I would love to have given you some magical unicorn dust that actually give you more business in your career, in your lives. But at the end of the day, it's really as simple as everything that I'm telling you. And I know the number one agent in Keller Williams is somebody that I've known forever, since the beginning of my career. And I know exactly how she's built her business. Stephanie Vataco is like one of my closest market centers. And I know exactly how she built her business. And I can guarantee you that she would be telling you that I'm absolutely 100% correct in everything that I told you today. You have to feel uncomfortable. You have to do it anyway.
You have a question?
Yes, what's the question?
Can ask, when you call someone and they are horrid to you, do you keep them or do you archive them?
Well, when you say, so that's, you know what? First of all, there's a lot of people that are horrid and they still use me. And that's just who they are. So I would need more detail on that. But at the end of the day, so when I do an expired listing class, and I call expired listings, and I do role play, and I challenge people. I say, I'll give you $100 if you can actually break my script and not set an appointment with me in an expired listing class. And I say, but there's 2 rules. If you're an asshole to me, I'm going to hang up on you, because guess what? I get to choose who I work with. And I don't want to work with you if you're that way. So that's one person you're talking about who is quote unquote horrid. You don't have to work with that person. Guess what? Maybe that's not your person. Go replace them with somebody else. I could literally walk out this door right now to any of the businesses in this shopping center and replace one person with another person in like 5 seconds by going, hi, my name is Frank. I'm a real estate agent. Do you rent or do you own? That's my starting script with everybody. I had somebody pay me to fly up to Seattle, Washington to coach them on real estate. And we were sitting down at dinner and they were like, well, how do you grow your business? I said, you have to talk to the people that you wouldn't expect to talk to. The busboy's pouring water at the time. I look up at the busboy. I go, hey, my name is Frank. I work in Los Angeles as a real estate agent. Do you rent or do you own? He's like, oh, hey, how's it going? I rent. I said, okay, if I could show you how you could actually own a house and it's cheaper than what you're doing now, would you be interested? He said, yeah, but I actually have my brother down in Los Angeles that's actually thinking about buying a house. I said, oh, great. I would love to help him. And I got a freaking referral right there, just like that. How bizarre is that? But at the end of the day, you get to choose who you work with. And there are a tremendous amount of bad people out there that are not nice, and they're just not going to be your people, and that's okay. But you just go replace them, because guess what? I'm sitting on here with 55 amazing people that I can guarantee you that you and I I know Sam's like what Jay said, and Sam, like, I already know a bunch of you and we're good. Like, there's more people out there that you could be good with too. So you just have to go find those people. You actually just have to do a little bit of work. And I tell everybody that joins my office, I say, listen, it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how talented you are. Your business is going to come down to your work ethic. I'll give you every tool that you need to be successful. I just can't do the work for you. So if you're willing to put in the work, and whatever work you're putting in right now, think of how much more that you have to do to get to where you're at. The problem is that we expect results today. And we work hard right now today, and we're working hard. And then if we don't get the results we want, we're like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. But the problem is that if you work hard today, your result is going to come. It's just going to take a couple of months. And it's the consistency of your behavior. So you call your database today, you're not going to get anything. You call your database tomorrow, you're not going to get anything. You call your database, call your database. It's going to happen. You have to be patient with the process. If you can be patient with the process and you can do consistency of behavior and you can talk to your people every day, it will happen. I guarantee it. I bet my kids' lives on, well, 2 out of 3, I bet. Not all 3 of them. I'm just kidding. I'm totally just kidding. Do not tell my kids I said that. But any more questions before we wrap everything up? Because I could literally probably talk for another hour and you guys would probably, I would wonder if I can talk to where there's like everybody hangs up on. No.
It's a last question. Is there something that outlines how you would help them? From the same person.
Help who? Help use the agent or help your client?
Kim, do you want to unmute yourself?
Talk to me, Kim.
Client.
Hi.
Hey there. What's your question now?
When you say to them, do you want me to show you how you can do better or get into a house or something like that? Is there something that you have, like, I don't know, something in writing, something formatted that says, if this is what you do, this is what you'll get?
You know, that's a great question. So if somebody's renting, there's two things that are fundamentally going to be the reason they're renting. They either don't know how to buy or they can't afford it based on their credit.
Or
something
down
like that, right? Am I wrong? Or is there something else I'm missing?
Down payment, big thing.
Okay, yeah, but right now it's like, so 3.5% is actually not very much, because right now in Los Angeles, like a rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is like $4 freaking grand.
Right.
So like, all you have to do is become their advocate and show them how to save money to get 3.5% or whatever they need. But at the end of the day, that gives you permission. If they're like, yeah, I would love to know, great. Now you have the opportunity to put more people on your team to help you, to become their advocate, to help them. So the number one thing I do is say, great, let me find out where you're at. I'm gonna have my lender call you. And then I have my lender call them, and the lender's gonna ask the questions that I can't ask. And he's gonna find out exactly what their issue is. When they find out what the issue is, at the end of the day, if somebody's spending $4,000 a month for rent, they can save money. Most of us, here's another intervention, most of us spend more than we make. And I went through a divorce, so I actually know way more about financial stuff than I probably should, because I had to go through like a rat's nest in that. And anybody that's ever been through a divorce knows exactly what I'm talking about. And as I figured out a whole bunch of financial stuff. At the end of the day, like the state of California, the reason we have a deficit is because it spends more than it makes. Most people are like that. So you have to become that person's advocate, and you have to help them come up with a plan. And you have to have a lender that is on board with you with that. If you're spending $4,000 a month and blah, 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 and you put together something that says, listen, if you save $500 a month, if you save $20 a month, if you blah, 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 or guess what? You have an uncle, you have somebody else that'll go in with you. There's so many different ways, and your lender, if he's good, like the ones we have in the office, Josh with Homebridge, Josh is amazing. Josh has gotten listings for our team. Josh has like flipped people who want a manufactured home because it's cheaper into renting something, and have helped people figure it out. So at the end of the day, that person that's renting needs help. And you just have to figure out where that person needs help. Do they have bad credit? And a lot of people, and this is a very big travesty in our educational system, is that the educational system does not teach you the financial literacy that you need to be a big person with pants and walk out into the world and live their life the way they're supposed to. It teaches you something completely different. And most people don't understand credit. Most people don't know how credit works. And that is sad because it forces you to educate yourself, which each and every person on here should educate yourself on how credit works and how you can help people that are renting right now because they're literally flushing money down the toilet. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions? Come on, before we wrap things up.
Do you know anybody that helps clients with their credit?
You know what? Lenders are the best people because that's the person that's going to have to qualify them to get them into a property. And you've got to find the lenders. I cannot tell you how many times I've worked with lenders and they just suck. Some lenders have worse follow-up than real estate agents could ever think of having. And you really have to find somebody that is like, that values your business enough to do the things that you need to do. So it's really comes down to the lender, and you and your lender have to have a come to Jesus moment on exactly how you want them to run business for you when they talk to people. And honestly, I found 2 people that work for me. And if you guys want those people's information, I can give them to you. Let me know in the chat and Greg will write it down and I'll get you out those lenders' information. But lenders are should be our partners. And honestly, if a lender's so this is one of the things that I do in my business. I ask my affiliates, if you're going to sell your house or buy a house, who would you use? Because guess what? They ask us. The lenders want us to give them business. Why don't you give me business? Who are you going to use? Right? So my lender uses me. So, that it's your lender. Your lender has to be, your team should be on your team. You should be your advocate.
And you have to download your Keller Williams app when you're talking, I guess, when you're out and about.
You can. That's an added tool. I see a lot of the tools like the website and the app and stuff like that. Those become crutches for the agents that are not talking to their people enough. If you feel that you're having the conversations with your agents on a monthly basis, and you're talking to them, I would never have someone download my app unless I had a really tight relationship with them. I'll be honest with you, everybody that I'm working with right now, I think we have 4 listings coming up this next coming week. We're closing 3 or 4 right now. I don't think anybody's downloaded my app. And that's just being honest, because the app, the technology, all of that is secondary. Your relationship and your personal relationship with your client is the number one thing. And that's where a lot of you in the industry, in the 1.4 million agents that are out there, want to use all these extra stuff to circumvent the actual thing that works in your business, which is your relationship. They want to get a whole bunch of phone numbers and get a whole bunch of emails and do that. No. Start with the people you already know and talk to them first. And then you know what? Maybe if you're going out of town and you're moving out of town, anybody that lives out of state, if I would have conversations with them and put them in my database, because if you put them in command, you can actually see when they go on and start looking at stuff. I would probably have them download my app, but I talk to them so much that it doesn't mean anything. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
And then the other thing is, you talk about your team. What are you guys doing to bring in new business?
Relationships. So this is the thing about me, is I'm not going to tell you to do anything that I'm not already doing myself. I've been sending out mail. I've been trying different things with our team. I've been sending out mailers at about 1,000 a month, and I have got 0 from it. So I've done that for about 2 months. So that's going to stop, because if you're spending money on something and you don't have a return on investment, you stop doing that, and you have to try different things. So back about 10 years ago, that worked. I'd send out 1,000 mailers, I'd get a listing. That's not working anymore. Right now, I have a listing closing in Chatsworth. That was a referral from an agent from out of state. I have a listing coming up in Granada Hills. That's a referral from out of state. I have another listing on the same street, which is a referral from out of state. The team has a listing coming up across the street from where I live. That's a personal relationship, sphere of influence. 2 closing in that neighborhood, sphere of influence. 1, this is interesting. Check this out for all the people that are like, I don't want to be on Facebook. There's people that go on Facebook and like, hey, I'm thinking about selling. And then like their inbox blows up and like all these agents are like, oh, use me, use this person, blah, 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 right? So Tracy, who basically is the team leader, I'm just like, I'm the eye candy. She responded, or somebody tagged her in this post on Facebook that literally had hundreds of posts, right? She got the listing. Do you want to know why? She's the only one out of the hundreds of agents that consistently followed up. It's like, bam. I was like, how'd we get that one? She's like, it came from Facebook and I just kept following up. She's like, I don't get it. Like hundreds of agents on Facebook. Didn't do it. I'm trying to think of something else. What else do we have coming up? It's all relationship. It's all relationship based. The team we have a $900,000 property in Santa Clarita that's closing that came from an online lead. The team is closing one in Simi Valley from a personal referral relationship. And then we have another one in Canyon Country that's closing from a team that's online lead. And we currently have about 1,500 online leads that we're working. And we just had a listing appointment from an online lead last week. The week before that, a listing appointment from an online lead. And then next week, we have a listing appointment from an online lead. So my team does buyers and sellers and all that kind of stuff. So that's where all that comes from. So I am doing exactly what I'm telling you. It's online lead generation, it's personal relationships, period. And I'll tell you what, I talk to my people a lot. Where are the online leads coming from? Great question, Desiree. I test everything. So I actually went to Facebook, and this is why I tell you I don't like Facebook leads. I went to Facebook, and the people that I had do it for me, they were charging me 30% of what I paid them to do it, and it wasn't working out. Not because they're bad leads, because when you get a lead and they're not ready to buy, that means they go into an incubation period to where I constantly follow up with them. That's all the Facebook leads were. And I wanted something more. So I went to Google pay-per-click. So all my business right now online is coming from Google pay-per-click. I pay a company to do it for me. And I spend thousands of dollars a month. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I spend thousands of dollars a month. But I also have a $900,000 property that's closing at the end of the month. It pays for itself. But this is what I would caution you against. Everybody needs to listen to this. I lost a bunch of people because I was talking too much. So this is what I caution you. Do not go out and buy online leads if you don't know how to talk to them. If you don't know what to say, don't go off and buy them, because you're going to try to talk to them. They're going to hang up on you. You're not going to know what to do. And you're going to say those are bad leads, and Frank lied to me. I know how to talk to an online lead. I coach my team every week on what to say to online leads. Right, Tina? And the thing is that it's not, first of all, it's not easy. None of this that I'm telling you is easy. And there is a certain script that you use. How do you get better at scripts? You go to Greg Posada's script class. I tell my team to go to the scripts class. My team is pretty busy, so sometimes they can't always make it there, but you go to scripts class, you learn how to talk to people. And I cannot tell you, out of all the things that we do besides my class that I'm teaching right now, that is the most valuable class in our company, is the scripts class. Because most of you don't have the business you want because you don't know what to say. Or you know what to say, but then somebody says something to you and you don't know how to respond. So it's more than that, it goes deeper. And that's why a lot of people fail at expired listings. I can tell you what to say to an expired listing, but the thing is that you're not gonna know what to say after they say what you just said to them. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense, I don't know. So Google pay-per-click, Greg's class is awesome. Greg is awesome. So any class he teaches is gonna be awesome. So yeah, so Google pay-per-click is all I do. I spend close to, I think it's $2,000 a month, something like that. I don't know. Anybody else? Any other questions before we wrap everything? I really hope this was helpful. I really do. So thank you so much for everybody being here. If you can do something online to kind of give me a shout out or something on social media saying what you thought of the class, that would be really, really, really important to me. Unless it's bad, then let's forget this ever happened. My name is Sam Benner. If you didn't like the class, and you can leave that review on Facebook. So guys, thank you so much. Everybody have a fantastic day. I hope you go out and crush it.
Awesome, Frank. Thank you.
The market centers will be sending them out to you through email. So as soon as we get the recording from Zoom, we will send them over to your market centers and they will send them out to you, the recorded session. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. And have a great
Thank you, Greg
weekend.
and Frank.
Thank
Thanks so much.
you.
Great weekend.
Thank you.
guys. Good job, Frank.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Amazing class.
Thank you.
Okay, what is the, can you take a picture of the icon or whatever it looks like?
But it did show it on the recording. I looked at it and it was showing up.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Tina, for coming. I appreciate it.
So it's showing now.
I know you freaked me out. I was like, woo, I've been looking at it. It did show the recording.
Yeah. No, I can see it's recording on my end. I'm honestly just troubleshooting for Tulare.
Okay,
So
I just sent it.
awesome. Okay, cool. And then I am going to then stop this recording.